Get rid of that Dan guy. Smart move. Well
Yeah,
played.
we launched our opening with 4, and somehow we lost one on the way.
I was hoping it was this guy you were getting rid of, but you know, what it is. You know,
I'll just squeeze up.
yeah.
What's going on, comic friends? It's Ryan the Colossus Collector, and thank you for tuning in for another installment of X-Men Collector Chat. My co-host Dan's X-Men Comics was here. I'm sure he will return. Hopefully. But we've got 2 awesome guests tonight. We've got John from John's Comics with Kids and Justin, aka No Good Comics, from also his channel No Good Comics here on YouTube. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight.
Dude, that's absolutely my pleasure. And I think Justin's either faking the freeze really, really well, or he actually froze really, really well. Either way, I'm so ecstatic that I got 2 teenage daughters, and my internet is strong right now. My internet is holding tight.
This is a hell of a start. Okay, well, my co-host is back, but we've got frozen Justin.
Guilty.
Oh,
dude, this happens every time too, because I try to log in to like access the comments to my Google, and then I click the like StreamYard login, and anyway.
I'm gonna agree with your guest in the chat and say it's because you haven't seen Deadpool 2 yet.
Yes, I am glad that. Stay on me, guys. Yeah. Stay on me.
Gotta do it.
It's
okay. Hold on.
I'm to the phase where I'm
back.
Justin's twice. There you go.
Get rid of frozen.
I'm glad it wasn't just me, Justin. Thank you for.
I just got moved up to the top shelf. I'm just really happy about this.
It's gonna happen. It might happen again tonight. Yeah.
I haven't. We like where I live. We have hardly had any snow, but today we finally got like a pretty decent little snowstorm. So I'm hoping my internet's going to be pretty good. But I've, knock on wood, up until this point, generally have pretty solid internet flow. So but, we're off to a fun start.
Yeah, no other way.
And we just had like 10 minutes of pre-show, which was like fire. and now we have this.
Yeah, everything working well. Good.
Well, you guys lost a whole week on your show just like a few weeks back, right? Yeah. I remember because I was gonna miss that show, and I was kind of bummed about it.
It worked out.
You guys had all the problems, so you had to move it down, so I didn't miss it.
Yeah, I remember that.
So just a few folks in the chat. Just gonna say hi to Mr. Akins from What's on the Comic Rack.
What's up, Mr. Akins?
Flo Wolf Comics. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Cretan Bowl, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. And Old Wolf 65, what's going on?
All the wolves, the wolf packs here. And actually, Tony is the one responsible, Old Wolf, for this shirt. How do you pronounce? Is it Chode? Is it Chod? You guys can decide.
Question.
That's a great mug.
We've been trying to figure that out for years. Gonna change our Omni show.
That should have been will be a question if I ever meet Chris Claremont. That will
it's that right?
How do you pronounce
this guy's name? You just hold up.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna walk up with the shirt. Yeah. Just walk up with the shirt.
Yeah. So you guys, I want to quick little plug. You both have great channels here on YouTube. I'm sure most are familiar, but if you're not familiar with John and Justin's YouTube channels, please make sure that you're subscribed to them. They have a great show if you're an X-Men fan called Omni X-Men, where they cover issue by issue of the Uncanny X-Men omnibus run of Claremont, the Claremont run. They're already on volume 4. So if you're in, if you've read it in the past, but it's been a long time, or you're in the midst of reading it, or you haven't read it, you've got lots of episodes to catch up and get a refresher on. So definitely check out Omni X-Men. That airs every Tuesday night, alternating on their channels depending on the week.
Depending on if we have internet.
and depending on internet and snowstorms and all that good stuff, technology.
A lot of variables to our show.
So I thought it would be fun to kick off tonight Omni X-Men style and ask you guys a few rapid fire questions.
I'm so happy about this.
I tried to know, I mean, I haven't seen all your episodes, so I tried to pick new questions that you haven't used before, but there might be one or two that
I've been pushing for this like this season. I was
this is new to this season.
Yeah, it's a whole new thing we've been doing this season.
Okay,
and,
perfect.
And I've been adding questions each week when I try to narrow things to the guests. So I'm psyched about this. Yes.
Nice.
Great. Well, I thought I love when you can flip it on the person who does it and let them participate in their own game or whatever, right? So that's fun. And Dan, I want to hear your answers too. So like this is a questions for all of us, really. So to kick it off, not where you'd like to live as an X-Men, but which would you prefer the X-Men storyline going into the future kind of revolve out of? Would you rather it be back in the X Mansion in Westchester, New York, or stay on the island of Krakoa?
Ooh, this is okay. I mean, this is painful. I will say,
let John go first.
I'm incredibly partial to what Hickman was trying to do. And so I've really enjoyed this era. It's had its ups and downs, but never before in comic history do I know of a creator coming in, like shaking the dice and rolling them, and then having to manage like 3 books a week for 5 years, and organize a cohesive as best he could story across an entire universe like that. Never in even the history of X-Men, that's never happened before, right? He upped the game on a whole new level. I wish he could have just had complete say over every aspect of it and was not in any way controlled. I don't think he would have nearly as many titles. So for me, I want more of the Krakoa era. I'm incredibly nostalgic, like sad that it's ending. Like I'm really not looking forward to what's going to come next. And I have yet to hear of like a really huge talent coming in to run it. In fact, the name of the gentleman who's supposed to take over as an editor in the summer, I have never heard of this person in my life. And I was like, this is really bad news for me. Like, I'm worried we're heading into the doldrums. I'm just worried. So for me, I picked Krakoa. Like, and I gave you the long-winded answer when I was supposed to just do one.
I was gonna say, John, do you remember your rule?
I don't even.
I like the explanation.
So Krakoa, yeah.
I'm going Krakoa for sure. Yeah, in for Krakoa for me. I'm not going to give you my explanation.
I'm going to do it right, John.
Isn't he supposed to be muted too? By the way, didn't we agree?
Yeah, I just don't read enough of the newer stuff to really understand or know what's going on fully. You know, like I have been. You know, I did most of my reading in my 20s, and I haven't done a lot of catching up on the modern stuff. So I have to, count on you guys to tell me where to go. And actually, that's pretty much how I could have always been consuming media, is like listen to the people that I trust, that I, like their opinions, and then I'll go back and read something after it's already finished and, hit it all up. So to me, it doesn't really matter. Like it's what y'all think that matters to me.
I've only read like the beginning of the Krakoa. I still have so much more to read. I'm really hammering out Claremont era, and then I started it, and then I focused more on Claremont. So I still have a lot to learn about the Krakoa story and the Krakoa era. So I'm a little bit of a traditional Westchester X-Mansion guy myself, but that could change after reading more of the modern stuff as time goes. But I would go with X-Mansion.
And I don't think there's a wrong answer to that one. I think it's a great question that way. And I will say I've gone back and I've been trying to read. There's a ton of eras where I wasn't reading X-Men. So for me, I just finished Grant Morrison's New X-Men. I finished Remender's Uncanny X-Force. Jason Aaron's Wolverine and the X-Men. There's all these little runs where I just sort of like picked an artist or a writer and just kind of read it. And I've done that over the last couple of years. And it's been a blast just to kind of say like, hey, I want to see what Jason Aaron's X-Men looks like and just roll the dice on this, you know?
And reading it out of order like that, does that hinder or change how you experience it? Because I'm a little bit of like I gotta go from the beginning kind of, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe I do need to do that.
The beauty of like Marvel in the modern age is that when they bring a new writer artist team in, they generally want you to know what's going on. So they're going to try to give you the cliff notes as you get into those first few issues. So I had no challenges. I mean, obviously there were characters where I was like, I don't know this guy. I hadn't read the run where they introduced, you know, Beak or whomever. So, and I just sort of like dove into that universe feet first, and then it was kind of fun. Like I didn't really have any huge confusion.
Yeah, because like I everybody keeps telling me, oh, you know, Astonishing X-Men is like really, really good. Yeah. But then I'm like, oh, but I do want to read Grant Morrison's run as well, New X-Men. But I kind of want to read Astonishing a little bit more than I want to read New X-Men. But I feel like I should read New before I read Astonishing. I don't know.
I hear you on Astonishing. Like I started to read some of that, and it is I think the thing that sucked me in is I didn't need to know everything that's going on right away. It's the way that the characters interact with each other, and you can tell even without seeing the character talking, the way that they talk. And Mr. Akins from What's on the Comic Rack talked about this in before, that the way that it's really important to hear a writer put the dialogue of the character's personality and just the way that they speak on the pages. And Astonishing X-Men does that really well.
And it's also like a beginning, middle, end story. So you can get it doesn't just cut off and jump to the next guy. Like they have a solid ending, and that story really does have an arc.
I like that Eric said read it all. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, eventually, I just need more time.
I mean, yes, I want to.
That's the plan down the road.
Kind of the plan, yeah. But it's just I'm a bit of a slow reader, and
those darn kids take so much of your time. And
I'm also a bit of a squirrel, you know, or like a dog chasing squirrels. Like I really don't know where to stay on course. All right, back to the questions. If you were taking over from either or both Cyclops and Storm as the new leader of the X-Men, who would be your second in command? So Cyclops and Storm are not available. They've retired. Who's your second in command?
Wow. Justin goes first this time. I'm not going first again.
So I'm just thinking of like the originals from, or like, you know, not originals, but like Claremont's era of characters of what we've read on Omni X-Men. And I feel like God, it's really tough. I feel like Nightcrawler has like the most soundness to him, just of his awareness of, or his like cautiousness, but I don't know, but he's also, I don't know, just his awareness, I feel like above everybody else, whereas like Wolverine's gonna just, I don't know, attack right away, or, you know, act too quickly on certain things and then ask questions later, or Colossus might be too forgiving at times. I don't know. So I think Nightcrawler.
Yeah, that's a good call. And also, like, I almost feel like if we're gonna equate to from the original characters to Storm and Cyclops, I would probably put like Colossus and Nightcrawler there. Nightcrawler has a way of bringing people together and you know, seeing them from the inside and just connecting with them. Colossus is you know, the brute who can go in and make a good plan and has a good presence. I do wonder if either of those two characters are respected though amongst, you know, the group, the way that Storm and Cyclops would be. But obviously, since you can't pick them, you know.
Yeah,
right.
I think Nightcrawler is a great pick, and that was one of the ones that jumped into my mind, mostly because he ran Excalibur for so long. He ran that team and was the team leader for them, so he's a really good pick, and I think that's solid. But I'll go another way. I'll go current Kate Pryde. I loved her in the Marauders run in this era, and I think she's somebody that's going to kick some butt at all times and tell it like it is. And she's not going to play any like games behind your back and try to, you know, she's not an Emma Frost, but she can handle Emma, you know? So I'll go with Kate.
I think those are all exceptional answers. I think I'm biased, so I'd probably go with Colossus because
Get out.
you know, what I would like about Colossus is he'd be a great moral compass. You know, like
honesty.
If I'm thinking something maybe a little bit out of anger or vengeance, he could keep you on the right path. But I also agree, Kitty is a little more assertive, which is why I think she'd also make a good choice. But I'm gonna go with Colossus.
Nice.
All right, this one is kind of funny. Would you rather be romantically involved with Jean, but you have to wear Magneto's helmet all the time, 24/7, or be with Rogue and have to wear a latex bodysuit?
I'm going Jean.
Oh my god, it's such a good question. Oh my god. I'll go with Rogue then. I mean, she can fly me around, and I don't have to worry about her getting in my head. She doesn't. Yeah, she just wants me for my body, so I'm in.
I have nothing to hide in my mind, and so when she does go digging, if I didn't have the helmet on, and she'd be like, "What's he thinking about?" I'd just be like, "All right, this Wednesday, new comics
you have to
coming
always
out."
wear the helmet. That's like
it's like glued to my head.
Yeah, see, I can take the latex off if we're just like watching TV.
No,
right?
you can't. Man, you can't.
Like it's
wait, I can't just watch TV with her. Like, geez, we're watching Breaking Bad, and I'm in this.
I'm trying to make a difficult decision either way.
I
Right?
still going Gene. Still going
Gene.
I'm not going to get as many germs.
It's a good point.
Oh man, see, I've been going back and forth on this now, because the latex suit could kind of be cool. Like that could be, you'd be like your own little superhero, and
I'll be called the Gimp.
Yeah. But you're saying that Ryan, you're saying their powers wouldn't work on us because we are forever wearing this item.
Yeah, but you have to wear the item all the time, like all the time.
Latex suit.
All right. Well, I would definitely be going Jean for two reasons. One, latex does not breathe, and that is not good, no good. And two, I'm just partial to redheads, so that's my choice. All right, if you got to choose one artist to work on X-Men for the next 10 years, who would it be? And a previous X-Men artist. Let's.
Okay, so someone who's done it before.
Yeah,
living or dead, doesn't matter.
Anybody you can. Yeah.
Wow. I have my answer, but John, you can go first.
There's a real somebody I don't think had enough time that I would love to have. Mark Silvestri. I really dig what he did when he was on X-Men. He doesn't get enough love because obviously he's surrounded by Byrne and Jim Lee, and he's kind of caught in the middle there. And so I would love Mark Silvestri to have had a longer extended period on the run.
So I would actually go with my dad. He used to draw. He still draws, but he used to draw for a lot of Marvel and DC. And he had done a very, very, very short bit on mutants. I have a couple of the books I was going to share later, but he's great. He didn't have enough of an opportunity, I feel, to actually put in artwork to some of our favorite X-Men characters. So I'd be curious. Even now, I think he's at his best right now. I'd be curious, for how that would come out in the next 10 years.
Oh, that's awesome, Justin. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
For me, I guess I really like I don't know. It's tough because I don't want to bring somebody back to ruin what I loved in the past, or to me, I don't know if it would ruin it or whatever, but I just like the way that things were. But I guess I'd really love to see somebody like Arthur Adams or Barry Windsor Smith. Those art styles I really dig. So.
Justin just got his first Barry Windsor Smith issue recently. We did the Life Death, the 186. And it made me realize how few issues of Uncanny he did. Obviously, he did other stuff, but yeah, great pick.
My first experience with him, was this past week.
Yeah, I have such a beautiful.
I have this love-hate relationship with Barry Windsor Smith, because on one hand, there's a lot of stuff he's done that I love. Like I love the Weapon X stuff. But then I have a problem with the fact that so many of his characters look like Leonard Nimoy.
The eyebrows.
It's like it's like he loved Leonard Nimoy and just like made everybody look like Leonard Nimoy. So it just throws me off. But my pick would, I think, Cockrum's probably my favorite artist of all time, but I think I'd love to see Jim Lee do 10 years on X-Men. He drew Colossus. My favorite Colossus was Jim Lee.
Sure.
And I would just love to see Jim Lee on X-Men again. That would be something. But I mean, honestly, there's so many artists, you couldn't really go wrong with any of those choices.
No. And like, I mean,
Justin's pick, I mean, that would just be so cool.
Definitely.
That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, last question. If you were a matchmaker, who would you set up Colossus with other than Kitty Pryde?
Are you trying to get us to set you up, Ryan? Just say this. We can look. We'll keep an eye out for you, buddy. Redheads, got it.
Oh man!
Aside from Kitty, you're saying set him up with a.
I don't like him.
Character of any, or we're talking just mutants, X-Men style.
Yeah, well, let's open it up. You could set him up outside of the mutant world, but I'll leave it up to you guys.
Man, that's tricky. I mean, I never loved him with Kitty Pryde. I always felt that relationship was kind of weird and problematic, especially early on, obviously.
Early on.
But even later, she just didn't see. They just felt like separate. They never felt like one in a lot of ways. Oh man, that's a tricky one. I thought maybe like he needs someone that can take charge. He is definitely someone that's a little passive,
a little bad.
He needs someone with like an incredible intelligence that's going to like motivate him. He's coming from a place of compassion and strength. He needs some other. I was thinking like Monet St. Clair. I like M a lot. She's a more modern character. She has similar strength and invulnerability, so they can bang and she's gonna be fine. But she's also like hyper intelligent, team leader kind of character. She was in the X Corp, I think, series most recently with Angel. So I'll go with Monet.
Man, I was just thinking from kind of like someone who would kind of take the reins style, and I was thinking Storm. I think it would definitely be. I'm sure that's a bit out of left field maybe for what some could picture, but I think I could see the two of them for sure.
I mean Psylocke. I don't know. We got a little. She's quite flirtatious, and I could see her blundering. So.
I thought it would be interesting if he dated Polaris, who's got magnetic power.
I was to say with the abilities,
that might be too dominant, but
it just makes him like stand up. And
I just saw that, John. I was like, that is cool. Seeing her.
The only book I bought this week.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a great one.
That was a nice restraint.
All right, those are the not so rapid fire questions, but it was fun. I wanted to ask you guys, if for anybody who's watching that might not know you guys as well, and even just for us, what's kind of like when and how did you become X-Men fans and collectors? And then just kind of tell us a little bit about what you collect X-Men wise, comics, beyond comics, or like any specifics like runs and things like that.
Good.
Same time.
Good, John. You can go.
I'm definitely older than anybody on this panel, more than likely. So for me, it was like I was in the mid 80s. I was snagging books off of the spinner racks and such. So for me, I got into X-Men during that. I like Eric is saying during that JR era of Mutant Massacre crossover event stuff. And for me, it was like sex, yeah, violence, yeah. Let's get in. Like X-Men had all the things I wanted as like preteen John. Beautiful ladies, and then like Wolverine always cutting somebody up, blood flying everywhere, fighting Sabretooth and those kind of things. So that's when I got into it. I've since obviously I found the whole Claremont run, the Byrne era, like the Cockrum era, and collected all of that. Nowadays, I just like reading. I follow writers most often as my like current era of reading. So hearing Hickman come on board X-Men, it's what brought me back to it. I was like, yes, this is a hugely talented guy. I want to see what he does. And then I was following, Jerry Duggan or, Al Ewing, whoever was doing something interesting inside of that world. I wanted to see what that writer would do. And if I didn't care for a writer, I would skip on their stuff. So that's kind of where my collecting's at now, is going back and, like we mentioned, Astonishing X-Men, New X-Men. I've been just sort of going back and collecting either omnis or collected editions or some of the single issues for those runs that I missed that I hear such great things about.
Would you say that you go for like the single issues that you go back to collect? Is that are you trying to do like the single issue full run, or do you just feel like picking up keys from those runs or something like that?
It's more like the second. Yeah. I mean, I tend to grab, so like for Grant Morrison, I bought the Omni and then read it this summer and then kind of had cherry picked the keys out of it that I wanted to get. And so like the Phantom X stuff, or today in the mail, I got a few of this book coming in the mail today. I hear this one's on the hot list now, but FOMO got Johnny pretty good on that issue.
Nice.
So for that run, I wanted to read it first, and that was the omnibus. And then when I got into it, it was like, okay, some of these issues are really great, or some of these covers are really great. And so I would just sort of snag the ones I want because I just can't store them all.
Got you.
Judson?
So I started, I didn't get into comics till like 5 years ago, maybe a little more than that, which is opposite of what many think, because my dad drew for Marvel and DC and just assumed that I got into comics at a very young age. But the truth is I actually pushed it completely opposite. Didn't want anything to do with comics growing up because I thought it was like the family business. Why would I want to encourage hearing my dad talk about work? If I'd rather go out and play baseball or something. So, so I got into it at a late stage where I had to kind of discover the love of comics on my own terms, which was about like 5 years ago. What's up, Damien? And then it was like right as the pandemic started was when I actually started to read X-Men. I was trying to like find a happy medium between like, I was reading a lot of superhero stuff and then I was like getting tired of it. So then I'd go into like some non-superhero comics like Saga and go into the indie world a little bit. And then I'd go back to comics or back to Marvel and DC again. And I always heard amazing things about Claremont's run, like just this epicness and iconic storytelling. And so every morning at again, this was literally like maybe the first month into the pandemic, I would digitally, I had my iPad, I would read on Marvel Unlimited, and I would read I opened up 94 digitally and just started reading it, and I would post like that morning of like, here's what I'm about to read. And that's how John and I actually talking. Like, we had known each other, but like we didn't know, we're
you started posting X-Men stuff. I was like, really?
Yeah, you're like, that's a great one too. Oh, I remember that issue. Oh, like every morning, just the next issue, I would just move on, and I would just fall in love with the fact that it wasn't just superhero-y stuff. It was like everyday stuff. It was them playing baseball. It was them, out at the park, or like relationships, drama, and all that other stuff. So I just liked it for that reason. So that got me hooked. Claremont, just reading all this stuff from his era. So I went through and read the first all the way through the John Byrne stuff. So 94 all the way through John Byrne, the Giant Size as well. And then that's when John and I kicked off the show. I went back and started rereading with him. But then after we got past that, all the new stuff since then is all my first time reading as far as this Claremont stuff goes. So even during the show that we have every week, like to me, I'm only a week new to that issue wherever we're at. So it's been a really cool experience. I will say I was itching to get into the Hickman stuff, kind of like halfway through the Byrne stuff, just because there was so much people talking about it and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, let me just read a little bit more to have like a little better understanding of some of the key stories, and then get into jumping ahead and just I won't worry about it if I'm confused or whatever. And it wasn't so bad. There were a couple little things that I like heard about that I just kind of either researched or just went on without. And then I ended up loving the Hickman stuff. So I'm like, caught up with all the new stuff. I'm like a couple issues behind, but I'm like basically caught up with the new stuff. And then I'm also reading the Claremont stuff. So between the two, that's like where I continue to kind of stay afloat. And as far as buying comics go, or buying X-Men, I should say, all the new hot variants that come out, like I can't help but buy, all my favorite characters when they are drawn by all these amazing new artists that are coming out each week. So I'll buy those. And then Dan, as we were kind of talking about earlier, and I see that you do the same. Anytime I re-see a John Byrne book, and especially under $20, it's like an automatic buy. I don't care if I have it 3, 4, 5 times. I will just buy it, because a John Byrne X-Men book should not be $20 or less. I don't care if it's got ink stains or water stains or whatever. Like, I'm going to rebuy it. So I will rebuy those. And I'm also, as John and I continue this, I find myself buying all these other ones. So now my new goal is to do the whole, anything that Claremont did of the main X-Men titles. Originally it was just John Byrne stuff, Dave Cockrum to John Byrne, and I stopped there. And now I've kind of reopened that up, because we've been getting back into volume 3, volume 4, which has gone past the John Byrne stuff. And I'm discovering, like, holy crap, these are great stories. It wasn't just the John Byrne stuff. Like, from what, you hear people always talk about John Byrne, his, run, and it's amazing, but there's so many good stuff. So anyways, that's kind of where I'm at with what I'm buying.
And I also love that, like, you bought that first Uncanny Omnibus from Claremont, and I bought it, and we didn't tell each other we were gonna buy it.
Yeah,
it was like, you bought it, I bought it.
Yeah,
did we just become best friends?
Yes, it was like
we need a show about this,
right? We like made a joke about it, like, oh, we should have like a omnibus X-Men show.
It was our first Omni. Both of us had never purchased one before, and we bought the exact same one at the same time.
Yes. That's great. And then you guys created a book club.
Yep, basically, we started giving our homework to the rest of the community.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I kind of did the same thing as you, Justin. Like, I'm getting into X-Men. I start here, I'm hearing Krakoa had already been going for a couple years, but like, I'm hearing about it, and it was like, okay, well, I got to know at least a little bit about what's kind of going on. So I read that. I read, House of X, House of what Powers of X,
Powers of 10, yeah.
Yeah, and then got into the X-Men run, but also, like, I also started reading Excalibur and Marauders, and so a question for you guys, like, do you read like all the books, or do you kind of stick more to like the main title
of the new stuff?
For the manga?
The new. I don't. I haven't. There's like 3 now. Right now, there's like just 3 that I read. But even during that time, I was reading when it went through the X of Swords storyline. That really like forced you to read everything. So yeah, I was reading it. Yeah, I was reading it through that, and I really that was great. Like, I enjoyed that. I remember really grinding through and reading that as a whole, because it was out for a while. That was me still trying to catch up to the current stuff at that time, and then from there I branched off. I just kind of stuck with the 3 or 4 main titles that I like the most, and once in a while I'd try something new, or if I knew that there was a little 4-issue miniseries that was coming out that had like more of my interest in it for whatever reason, then I would try it at least, or go with it. But there's some like the Sabretooth stuff I didn't fully like follow up on. The Wolverine stuff, even though Wolverine's one of my favorites, I'm not reading like all the current Wolverine stuff. I read a little bit with Ghost Rider when that was kind of tied in a few months ago, but otherwise that was I'm Immortal, the main X-Men title, X-Men Red, like those were the core 3 plus maybe 1 or 2 other random ones. But like, I mean, John and I both, like, we read a lot of just new stuff, old stuff. Yeah, I'm reading like One Piece manga right now, like tons of things that like take up a lot of time. So like I have to kind of pick and choose. Yeah, John's reading
my One Piece is in the other room. So.
Yeah. So like, we joke about like time and stuff, but it's a thing, man. Like I would love to eventually go back and read all the other things that tie into the Hickman era. because the beginning was great. But yeah, like, and I know one day I will, or I'll get like the big omnibus, and in 2084, John and I will be doing our Omni X-Men of Hickman stuff in 2084, and we'll break it down then, you know, and maybe you guys could be guests, and you know, but no, that's where I'm at right now. It's just kind of picking the core stuff.
Yeah, I like as soon as you get out of House of X and Powers of 10, they at the end of every issue, it's kind of like mapped out, like what you got to read in order, you know, Excalibur, and then this and then that, you know. It's just a lot. It's like
totally.
And I will say that's the fundamental flaw that I feel coming now that the Hickman era is ending and we're not going to really get whatever his definitive idea was. Like for me, the flaw was in the layout and in the design of this thing. I think people felt like, and rightly so, that they had to read it all. And I don't think in the end it was necessary. I think you could definitely pick either characters or talents that you wanted to follow. And then when an event came along, you could certainly catch up on, jump on in onto everything as they, like an X of Swords happens or whatever. I was far happier in the Hickman era when I was just following a handful of titles instead of all 15 or whatever it was a month. I had 5 or 6 that were really, like I said, Marauders was really great, and I would just again pick a talent, an Al Ewing, a Jerry Duggan, a Hickman, and they did not have that central title. They didn't have the X-Men title that was like all encompassing and kept you up. And instead, Hickman wanted to do this like slice of life thing in the X title, and it didn't really kind of work. Occasionally you'd get amazing issues in there, but they were never connected to the next or the previous. It was always just like here's a random story to connect in with whatever's happening in this corner or that corner. So it was a flawed, I think, design built around probably Marvel editorial saying, hey, we got to have a ton of titles. This is hot. Let's have more. And then it was harder and more unwieldy to manage.
Yeah.
Right.
John, I wish that you were there to tell me that when I was reading, and that's what burnt me out.
Hindsight,
like,
right?
Or I almost like out of like spite, I was like, I refused to get those other titles to read. Like I've been reading, you know, I read like I don't know, like 100 issues in my 20s, like when I was like kind of amassing and collecting them,
sure,
to just follow along the story since, you know, from Giant Size X-Men, like how did this all happen?
Yeah.
And then, when I got to that part where it was like, wait, I got to read this other, you know, issue. And I remember that as a kid, like they would say, like, as noted in Hulk, you know,
right,
42 or whatever. And,
and there was writers that I really disliked in this Hickman era. Like I fell out of love with Trini Howard. Like I'm done with Teenie Howard. I'm done with her stuff. Like I every issue of Excalibur I read felt like a chance to do something interesting that just collapsed under the weight of it. There was a lot of that. And I didn't read Wolverine. I heard that was it was really good, and then it was kind of not good. And then X-Force rode a wave. X Factor kind of rode a wave. I got in with like the stuff for Nightcrawler in this run was incredible. Cy Spurrier with his Uncanny Spider-Man and his Way of X and House Legion of X. He was incredible. And he had this whole little corner of the X-Men universe where he was like, look, I'm going to do stuff about Legion and Nightcrawler, and I'm going to do this whole part of the corner that nobody really cares about. And he made this really interesting, emotional story about, you know, what does it mean to live in a universe where people just come back from the dead so easily? Like, what is the psychological and religious implications of that? And a character like Nightcrawler, who's so passionately religious, dealing with the weight of that. In fact, the first issue of Way of X that Cy Spurrier wrote showed these X characters led by Nightcrawler on this like mission, and they succeed, but they're like teenagers. And one of them's like, oh, you haven't popped your cherry yet? You got to do it. And then they like talk this girl into dying so that she can be reborn. Right in front of Nightcrawler, this girl gets killed because she has never resurrected before. And her friends are like talking her into killing herself, or at least putting herself at risk to inevitably die because she's never done it before. And here he is like questioning his entire understanding of this mutant utopia through the lens of what teenagers are, how they're abusing this power. And it was so, I read that issue and I was like, oh my God, like this is what Hickman needed from the jump, but nobody's reading this damn book.
It's true. Yeah. That was cool.
Sounds really, really interesting.
It was beautiful. And if you go from there all the way through Uncanny Spider-Man, everything Cy Spurrier wrote across like 4 years is beautifully connected into one little Nightcrawler arc. The dude Nightcrawler got such a great time in the Hickman era.
And all I hear is Colossus just got dogged.
He really did. He got
Isn't that the career of Colossus?
He got hosed bad.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, no respect.
No. Fact. Except he got a really cool beard out of it. He got.
I used to say I like the scruff that he got.
Beard is solid. The beard is solid.
Yes, Mark. I would like to talk.
This is a great segue into this question because our X-Men 97 trailer dropped today. I'm so lucky that like the Deadpool trailer drops Sunday. We have our Council of X on Monday. Talk about it. X-Men 97 drops today. We can talk about it. But right off the bat, they do that thing with the tape or with the old tube TV.
Yeah.
And what's right there in the corner is a Colossus action figure, and they're like, "Oh, here we'll put Colossus like in a packaging so that he gets something in this whole thing, since he's not in the cartoon itself."
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Like,
oh, man.
I would have rather they just not even put that there.
It's like an insult.
I love I love the
Slap in his
90s
face.
X-Men. It's one of the reasons I became an X-Men fan. But I always thought like the fact that Colossus wasn't in it, just like
I thought so too. He was in like a couple of
well,
episodes.
he's in a couple episodes, but like same with Nightcrawler. I hated that Nightcrawler wasn't part of that cartoon much.
And I think
anyways,
even though I started out watching the cartoons when I was a kid, I think my first introduction was the arcade game, and so like I kind of expected Colossus to be a part to that group. And maybe like the Pride of X or whatever that old cartoon is.
He was part of the original cartoon pilot that bombed, and Wolverine was Australian.
I thought it was great.
It was so good.
And Dazzler was a mainstay on the team. That's why
She was.
Dazzler's in the game and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, but that died, and then we got the 90s X-Men, which was awesome. I mean, truly, part of my childhood. But
Yeah.
yeah, Colossus got done dirty, as always.
Yeah.
But anyways, you guys saw the trailer. What did you guys think?
Oh, Justin.
So
I
I'm
doesn't
not
have the same nostalgia for the show.
Okay.
Well, but I'm also not a big trailer person. I've actually gone out of my way ever since Captain America: Civil War. I have not watched a Marvel trailer before a show or a movie or anything of the sort, unless it really caught me off guard. But even that, I was really good at always just like turning the cheek or just continuing to swipe or whatever. A lot of that's only because I didn't watch the Civil War stuff. And just imagine this, like having no rumors, no hints of what's in Captain America: Civil War, and then watching it for the first time and seeing like all these characters come into play.
Spider-Man.
Like, oh my God. Yeah. Like Black Panther coming flying it. Like I was so blown away. I'm like, that experience was amazing. I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like not know and just go into the damn movie and not know a thing. Now with all that being said, I don't mind you guys want to talk about it. 97.
You're pretty strong to be able to do that. Like I just can't stay away. That's my problem.
Yeah.
I did it for Spider-Man No Way Home. That was the only time I've ever pulled
nice,
that off. But even that, like when you're in IG, it's hard to avoid. People are like, dude, yo. Totally. And then I will always comment when I feel like something spoils it and be like, I'm not going to follow you anymore, man. You got to put a warning to it. Like, I'm sorry. I can't do it. Like
I've definitely unfollowed people for,
I tell them.
No, I will not. I got to make sure I don't spoil.
I'm the guy who's like, I'm announcing my leave. My plane is leaving. I'm announcing.
Justin, I've always been like you as far as if I know I'm going to see something, I will avoid any trailer. I actually wasn't really on social media at all until just the last couple of years or the last few years, and so I can. But I haven't watched any of the MCU movies really, aside from just a couple here and there. I haven't been following up with it, so I've been okay with the spoilers, just because I'm never going to be able to catch up or hold this away for so long that bring it on. Now, when it comes to this newer stuff, now I'm navigating.
Don't say you can't. You could totally. You gotta just make.
Well, I gave in, right? It's easier to just swim with the flow. But like now I'm navigating in the new territory where, okay, I do want to see the the 97. I do want to see the Deadpool movie. I haven't even seen Deadpool 2, like Mr. Akins was talking about earlier. So it's like, revoke the X-Men card from me now.
So funny.
Wait, so out of the amount of Marvel films of the Iron Man and on, like how many do you think you watched? You had to put a number on it. Get a guess.
6.
Okay. Wow. I'm so like excited for you, and I really do hope you like. I'm excited because it's like this is stuff. Even if you were spoiled on stuff, you'll like. I know for myself, even if I do see certain things, I'll forget about it. Like a year goes by or whatever. Like so for you, that's really cool to know that you never. And I hope you do. I hope you. I mean, you're a Marvel fan, you're an X-Men fan. I hope you take the time, even if it's over the course of your whole life, and just watch them at some point. Brian was saying, "Don't say you can't." Like you gotta. It is so good, man.
But having that, you have that treat, right? It's like a comic series you haven't read yet. At some point, you're like, "Hey, I got COVID and I'm stuck home for 5 days. I'm gonna watch a ton of movies."
Yep.
And wait for the moments where I can consume. I know that something good is lined up for me.
For sure.
Wait for that stuff. But like when we were on the Council of X just the other day, breaking down the trailer, dude,
you got so much flack.
Breaking down this 2-minute trailer for an entire hour.
They really got into it.
Sheepishly sitting here like I didn't notice any of that.
I didn't really think about it. I probably should have like.
That is funny.
I should have probably asked the guys like, do you want to do this?
They wanted to do it.
They were in it. They were
wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'll do that again. But,
when do you think you're going to have the chance? I guess there's probably another trailer coming along some point for the movie.
Yeah, they'll probably have one that's a little bit more revealing of the plot, I guess.
Right.
Like, I mean, they kind of gave you a little bit of an idea, but we talked about it on Monday. Like, I hope they don't reveal too much. It's fun to speculate. Like I can't help but stay away from that stuff.
Well, and I agree with most of your panel that we're saying like a lot of this stuff is going to be twisted, and we're not understanding that's Patch. You see Wolverine sit at the table. I totally agree. It's going to be like Daniel Radcliffe or something else. It's absolutely going to screw with us.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Oh, we lost him. I saw him frozen for a second there.
And I thought he was just
really happy. He was really happy.
Yeah.
Super happy.
At least he gets frozen happy.
Yeah, always. That's always happy.
I went 45 minutes before the next freeze. That's not bad.
Yeah, no, that was a pretty solid run. We had a no freezing, no drop off run for a good 45 minutes.
Well, it was a good look. Well, I'll give you my take on the trailer without, my basic general takeaway feeling was like
on X-Men 97.
The X-Men 97 trailer that I saw today. It's like it feels like they hit the notes to remind us, like, hey guys, this is just like the show, and then so that's the vibe. Like I didn't like and Magneto seems like he's going to be the leader, and they put they put to rest Professor X. So I guess like that's what we get out of it, or that's what I took away. And then just thinking it's going to feel like the old show. And I'm not even sure if like I'm going to watch it and definitely give it a shot. I'm just like, would I sit down and rewatch the animated shows now? Like I tried and I was like, this is like background stuff, like
I'm bagging and boarding, but this is
like it's cool to hear the voices in the background. Oh, I remember this scene. Cool. But like, if you sit down and watch it, I'm kind of just like, it doesn't do it for me the way that it did when I was a kid. This feels like they're servicing me in that, like to be like, hey, this is going to feel like it did when you were a kid. Maybe there'll be a lot of nods, and team ups and cool moments. So that's what I expect. I don't think I'm going to expect like me to be everything to get blown away and X-Men comics to, prices to go through the roof or anything like that. Like You know,
Not yet. Not yet.
The X-Men Adventures books, right? The ones that
right?
are,
I've
like,
been sitting
based
on
the
10 copies of
yeah.
that, man.
X-Men Adventures 1's gonna skyrocket.
Yeah, so I can sell
they
it
were
for
smart,
$7 instead of 5.
if
Yeah.
they were smart, they would now they would come out with a like start X-Men Adventures from wherever it got cut off and do new ones
Right.
based on the new episodes of the show just for money, you know, like those will get bought up, no problem.
Are you saying just like redo the
No, what I'm saying is that run was based on the cartoon.
Yeah.
Even though the cartoon was based off of previous X-Men stories, they did change things at times. So they basically made a comic run that was like exactly like the cartoon. So I'm just saying
You're talking about X-Men Adventures.
So now that there's more cartoon, now you could do more X-Men Adventures.
Oh,
right?
yeah, you could. Then go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, for me, like I'm in the same boat as far as I couldn't decide after watching the trailer. Do I want to go back and watch the original, because I don't remember how it ended or where it ended or what exactly the concluding elements were. And then there's people like Tony Old Wolf in the chat who's like, didn't Morph die in the show? Dude, that was episode 1.
Yeah.
And then he came back in episode 2. Like, Tony, you got to at least watch more than half an episode to ask these questions, buddy. You're killing me here.
Well, that's why he's asking. Right?
I'm teasing Tony. I can heckle that guy all day. He gives me shirts. But they did bring they brought a lot of the actors, the voice actors back. Not all of them, but they brought a lot of them
Not
back.
Wolverine, which I have a big problem.
I heard some actually discrepancies on this, because his name is listed in the credits and people were saying that he sounded different in the trailer, and people are saying because he's older he sounds different, but it's the same guy.
Yeah, I thought it was.
He's just older.
Yeah,
but I could definitely tell that Cyclops and Storm were the same guys, or the same people, and they sounded relatively the same as
So just like how you boot a childhood actor for getting too old, do you boot this guy?
I mean, if you can't deliver the goods, I mean, the whole
they replaced Optimus Prime with Chris Hemsworth, right? Chris Hemsworth is now the voice. Yeah, the new Transformers they're working on now. It's going to be Chris Hemsworth doing the voice and not the original guy. He's just getting old. Like, the guy's getting old. It's going to be hard for him to keep doing it. Yeah. So that great voice is now going to be Chris Hemsworth.
The guy who does Optimus Prime, he did a voice in the Invincible cartoon, just like a cameo, but it was like the character literally was Optimus Prime. What am I watching and listening to right now? It's like Optimus Prime, but it's not.
So in the end, I guess I liked the trailer. I was excited for it, and I'm definitely going to watch it.
When's it going to come out? When's the date?
March 20th or something?
Was it March 20th? Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. I'm just kind of the point where, like, so you're continuing on the cartoon as it was, you're trying to make it like it was,
right?
Then you gotta like make it like it was. If it's like pretty different, I don't know if I'm going to connect to it as much. I'd almost rather you just make an all new cartoon and get Colossus.
Ryan, how could they have made it any closer to the original?
Voices, man.
Voices
are
the original voices.
Or the question is this though, Ryan. For me, the question was, and maybe it's just I'm old. Is like, is the show different? Is the art different? Are the voices different? Or am I different?
Ooh.
Deep
psychological.
Well, I can tell you what, Wolverine's voice was different. Wolverine's voice was different, and Wolverine had the most iconic voice.
Ryan is pushing back so
other
hard.
than Beast. Beast and Wolverine had the most iconic voices in that cartoon.
I'm gonna throw Storm in there, but I get you. Yeah.
Storm.
There you go. There it was. Respect.
I hear you. Yeah,
John, I think it's you, man. You've changed.
Rogue too. I mean, they all were. You can't do it without all the same voice. I'm sorry.
But also, Ryan, it was just that one clip of that one line that he spoke, right? So maybe
I'm not passing sentence yet. We have to see the series.
Although I will jokingly say that the woman who does the voice of Rogue posted a video commenting on, the trailer dropped, everybody, and and she's on an airplane when she recorded it, and I was like, she sounds so different. She looks so much older. I was like, oh man.
Was she doing it in the Rogue voice?
She was not, but her natural voice sounded so different because she just obviously, it's an instrument. It ages,
The guy who does the Beast voice, he's like always at cons. He I always see him as a guest at cons. Not that I'm at the con, but like on social media, I always see that he's at cons.
I'm guessing he does other cartoon voices and things, video games or something. Yeah.
I saw the guy that does Wolverine. He was at Terrificon last year. I think it's at I think it's the original, the 90s. So he wears the Wolverine jacket and everything else. And I didn't like go up and meet him, but
he was. I think he went. Yeah, he was at that Uncanny Experience thing.
Oh, he was there too. Yeah. It was like a back-to-back Terrificon and then there.
Would you guys ever go to that?
I mean, this guy's like a short drive, right? What is it?
No. I'm far.
It's in Minneapolis, or
yeah. I'd have to fly out there. Yeah. Minnesota, yeah, somewhere in Minnesota. I thought about going this year.
He was trying to talk me into it. I was like, I can't convince.
I was like, we gotta bring the Omni X-Men there, Well, can't go there halfway there,
It's obviously it's an X-Men con, so it seems up my alley, but I just don't know what it is like yet.
Yeah, it's so like ambiguous. Like, is it a sex club? Is it like what is going on here? Because they
now I'm interested. Now
I listened to a little bit of your last episode, and you guys talked a little bit about this too. I was cracking up with the whole sex club thing. So I actually met one of the guys. His name's Dylan, Warpath Dylan, I think's his handle on Instagram, and he is very much into cosplay. I had just randomly met him at C2E2 2 years ago, in the middle, like with a bunch of other people, and me and a buddy of mine who was actually dressed as Green Lantern. I was not dressed up in any way other than just regular clothes, but he like started talking to them because they're like, oh, cool cosplayers, like, and they all were like best friends instantly. And I just kind of got into the mix, and then we all just kind of hit it off. So I met Dylan. I told Dylan about our show, John, like all this other stuff.
Was this like a key party? Everybody put their keys in.
He had a plan. Yeah. No, but he was really cool. They were all really cool. Here. And that was before they like launched any of this. And then when they launched it, our friends from Ex-Wife podcast, Justin and Alicia, they had mentioned that it was Dylan running it. And I was like, oh my God, I met that guy. Like I know who he is. And it's like him and I think a few others as well. But I think he was like one certainly behind all of it. But I kind of wanted to go because I knew a lot of them, and we made good friends with Alicia and Justin. And
they're great people, Alicia and Justin.
Yeah. And I just like, there's a lot of people I recognize there, and then obviously the creators that go there. Having Chris Claremont, like, like anytime I could just sit around and talk to him forever, like I'm down. So I think
I saw your Terrificon video about meet him and talk with him for like a half hour at the end of the line or whatever. That's so cool.
We got so lucky. I wasn't even technically the last one online. It was our friend Michael Sove Collector. He was online, and he had the sign that said like, no more people basically, but he's like, nah, come on, like, we'll get you in. Cool. And then the three of us, me, him, and Paul, back-to-back issues, we literally, we got to the end of the line, and Chris was like, what? I got another 40 minutes. Why are they cutting the line so short? I'm like, well, I have questions about this book here. And I like show him the omnibus, and we start flipping through books and everything. Yeah, I didn't ask him that question, but we start flipping through some of our books. That was like a dream though. Like to just watch him like read the book and talk about
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, like it was awesome. Cool. So I know you guys you're thinking about going to Terrificon, right? Or you mentioned
that's the plan.
You're definitely going. Okay.
I'm definitely going. I think Dan is.
It's my pretty much my one goal this year. Yeah. So
nice.
It's happening. Yeah.
Sweet.
On. We got to get you.
I know. I definitely want to go to Terrificon. There's a bunch on the East Coast, like Heroes Con and stuff that I want to go to, but I can't even going like once every other year to an East Coast con is like budgetarily questionable in my life.
Yeah.
But I've done it. I went to Baltimore like 4 years ago. I went to MegaCon just last year. But yeah, making it happen is always a tricky thing. Justin's got to clear that couch off so that I have a place to sleep.
You are always welcome. Always welcome. We have a whole extra bedroom and bathroom all for you.
I hear you, John.
I only charge $50 a night. So
yeah. And I just have to spoon him. It's all really great.
Yes, exactly. Way cheaper than the hotels down here too.
Yeah. Are we talking about the Uncanny X experience again?
This is the experience. Yeah. It's my couch.
The Terrificon experience.
That was so good. Tony, I've already spooned you, buddy. I'm not. You've already had your opportunity, man.
We booked Chris Claremont. He's coming to Justin's,
X party.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
So good.
Well, I am excited to or that you guys are going to that because
we'll see you there, right?
My favorite show, man.
Cool.
We booked like months ago, and my wife and I go because it's in a casino. So my wife and I book. We do a whole week.
How did I not know?
We do a whole week. We literally book. We drive in like Tuesday or Wednesday, and we stay all the way through Monday. Like that's just like
now making so much more sense to me. Like there's so many layers coming together.
I'm getting there Thursday. Gonna be there the whole.
Oh my god!
Nice.
It's gonna be awesome.
And you guys like did a jackpot, Justin, right? Like last time.
So last time, we hit really. My wife hit. She won like $4,000, and then I got like a quarter of it because that's our deal. If any of us win more than $1,000, the other person gets like a quarter. So, so I ended up getting like $1,000, and the show was just that was like Saturday. So I went in, I just like bought a bunch of like artwork. I had like artists like do some commissions like.
So you're hooked. I mean, like it's like any board game or anything. If you ever play a game for the first time and you win, it's like that's your favorite thing to do.
Yep.
So,
definitely. I will go all in and like learn it and practice it and master it like whatever it is.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one, Justin.
I would say, Ryan, we were just talking about Pokemon. It's so bad. I have not revealed this to anybody, but I'm literally getting into freaking Pokemon. It's not.
He's got to catch them all.
No, that's a whole nother path.
It is not good at all.
Yeah,
I got like One Piece cards and like reading manga. It's
dangerous, slippery slope.
Yeah.
And John, I understand your point of you just can't make it work unless you had enough time to plan it ahead because
if I could drive, I would make it work, but
it's like I'm basically having to sell the equivalent of a giant size X-Men for the money to go. It's like I could have a really low grade GSX or go to this thing.
And I did something similar to go to MegaCon just before COVID hit. I even had an auction on my channel called Get John to MegaCon, and it was just like selling stuff.
I remember that.
and I saved up all this money, and then like I was like, oh, the flights are getting super cheap. This weird COVID thing's going around. I'm gonna be banking on this. And then it was like, nope, everything gets canceled. And I just sort of saved the money until this last year. I finally got a chance to go, and it was amazing. But
put it in a high interest.
Yeah, and by save the money, you mean buy
I bought other books and then rationalized that I had saved something.
It's all about the money.
Lady No Good's in the chat.
I was gonna say. Perfect timing. I told her I'm getting into Pokemon. She's like, "You're what? What?
We're not buying things. We're not buying anything."
Sorry, I don't understand the reference. Lady No Good is whose wife?
That's
okay. All right.
The winner, the gambling winner.
Oh, congratulations! Yeah, I just heard
she's
that.
the big money gal.
She carries me. Yeah,
I agree. Tony keeps making jokes because Old Wolf and I shared a house rental. He and his wife and his son and I all crashing in one house, drinking at night, and then going to the con and Disney World during the day. It was phenomenal.
Yes, that's so cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and now Tony's coming out here this year for his family and my family share like Scottish ancestry, so we're doing like the Scottish Highland Games are here in Orange County this year. So his family and my family are going to go to the Scottish Games.
Oh, cool!
Right on. Sweet. ATV's got us hooked up with the package, the full package deal here.
Did John freeze this time? Oh, I thought maybe John.
A little bit. But yes, we'll at least see you there, if nothing else.
A little.
That sounds amazing. I need to get in on this, T. Roy.
Oh,
yes, it's not just me.
Damn it! I was doing so well.
What do you guys got in the internet?
We're like, what's in this drink? What the heck?
I should knock on wood because I'm next.
Yeah.
There's a virus and it's going around.
You're holding us up, Ryan. You're holding us up.
So, you joked earlier about 10 years Omni X-Men doing the Krakoa era, but what is kind of you guys are on volume 4 now. Obviously, volume 5 came out last year. What's kind of the next Omni X-Men season?
I'm gonna cut Justin off. I'm gonna say it. Like, I'm pushing him to do New Mutants, because the first few volumes of New Mutants are Claremont written, and they're in line with where we are right now, and they do the magic and Kitty Pryde kind of stuff. So I'm pushing for at least some of that, just to space it out a little bit. But I'll do this show as long as Justin wants to do it. Like, I'm enjoying the nostalgia kick of this and going back, and there's so many times when I feel like a kid again, just reading this, because it's been maybe an issue that I haven't read in a hot minute. Like this one we just did Tuesday. I cannot remember the last time I read it, but it was so much fun reading it again. Even the parts that I was like, this is so stupid. And the parts because it was all the early appearances of Forge, the mid 80s stuff. And I was just like, they're fighting Rom's weird dire wraith villains. And it was like, I was like, it was that stuff I can't get enough of, which is as long as Justin's enjoying this show, I'm going to keep doing this show.
Yeah, I mean, so my contract ends in a year and a half. So if John is willing to re-sign me, then I'm down. It's
Shohei is going to Los Angeles Dodgers now.
My people talk to your people.
Sign Justin to the franchise. Throw the franchise tag on him.
MVP,
I kind of feel like this is a hot seat sports talk, and like you guys actually hate each other, and you're just saying
the joke is nothing about sports. And Justin loves sports, and I'm just trying to keep up. That's what it is.
Yeah. I'm the sports guy. No, I'm totally on board with what John said. Well, first of all, the New Mutant stuff, heck yeah, I got it for Christmas. So
yeah, you've got Omnibus Volume 1,
yeah. Like, I started to read it, and you're right, it like fits right in with where we're at right now. The artists that are involved, all the different creators, and obviously the storylines are in line with this, this, and probably a little bit of last omnibus. So it's perfect for that reason. So I only read like three or four, and when you mentioned it, I stopped. I was like, all right, I can hold off, But so that for sure. And then yeah, man. I mean, as long as I'm loving. I make the jokes of 2084 all the time, but like that's if John can if both of us can hang in there for 200 years, then like I'm down to keep it going. But no, like really, just as long as we have a ton of stuff to cover. I mean, and it's stuff that I genuinely do want to read at some point. Like I mean like just all the different, like I didn't read Jim Lee's era, like the 90s stuff. I know a lot of it. I own a lot of it, especially like the certain keys and things like that, and just have seen so many. But like I am interested in reading that eventually. I the stuff around the House of M stuff that what is it, Apocalypse, the whole Age of Apocalypse series. I know that is a thing that is definitely on my list at some point. Reading more Sinister stuff from when he came out, the X Factor stuff, like. I mean, the list really can go on and on forever. So, I mean, we'll, and if we ever had to, if we ever went in a different direction, we could always still do like other, non
One Piece.
Yeah, I was going to say we could do non X-Men stuff and get right into One Piece because there's a million chapters.
There's so much X-Men. You'd never get through it all.
Right, honestly. Right. Plus all the new stuff, like it stacks on itself. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like you once you're past volume 5, then you get into the event stuff. You get into Mutant Massacre, you get into Fall of the Mutants.
Yeah.
And those are fun because it mixes in some like adjacent stories from other titles and stuff. Like it puts the whole event together, which is really cool. I just read all through that in the last year, so
oh, nice.
It's fresh in my mind, and I'm like you. I'm yeah, exactly.
Here's Sabretooth fighting Daredevil, the end of the Mutant Massacre right here.
Yeah,
right. I got it.
Oh, actually,
Sabretooth looks so killer.
I actually have that book, I think.
With those,
it's basically like the epilogue for Mutant Massacre.
There's Daredevil in there. There's Power Pack.
Thor's
the
one that finds Angel.
Yeah, that's the reference I always use for another title being like pretty significant part of that storyline is.
It'll come up when we share books in a little bit. I got you on another level.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So, and then how long does it typically take you guys to go through one omnibus, like, or through a
Like a
season of
season.
Omni X-Men? Like, do you get like 2 seasons in a year, 3 seasons in a year, that sort of thing? Or
We've pretty much planned it out to be one season a year, but a year like not like by the year. Like we usually start in October and we usually end in like June every cycle, and then we take the rest of the summer off. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, cool.
So
And
we take time off, and then
one
go ahead,
season is one omnibus. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So this is
And we both have birthdays like within a week of each other in June, so we're always like birthday bash, big giveaway, finish the season finale kind of stuff, and then we're both like, I'm good. Let's spend the rest of the summer I'm not going to talk to you anymore. We're going to take a break. Just tag me in your videos, and I'll know you're still alive. And that's all.
It's so funny because we like text each other every day almost, and it's like, and it's mostly Wordle. Like we do Wordle and Quordle. If you guys know like those games, I've been slacking, but usually like that's it. And so like
I crushed another 3 today. So
over the summer, like that's like if you look at our chat and our text, like a lot of it's just that, or like talking trash about like who did better that day or whatever. But otherwise we get back in October and we're just like, hey man, we're back. I'm the X-Men. How you been? How was your summer? This is great. And a little in between. We talk some Harry Potter and other stuff, but we do some Lego builds.
Yes.
Can't go wrong with a little Harry Potter.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about showing books. Let's get into showing some books.
Heck yeah.
Who wants to kick it off?
I'm fired up for this.
Do it, John. Do it.
John's ready to go. So.
I jokingly said like the theme I wanted to do was X-Men characters or mutants showing up in other books, like because it's like sometimes my favorite X-Men related stories are when I find my mutant characters that I love in a different comic. So I'm gonna kick it off with a book that I talk about a ton, that I even did a video on because I love it so much. This is a 90s book. This is Spider-Man issue 15. This is when Beast showed up in Spider-Man by Erik Larsen. This is a single story, single issue. If you're like a person that doesn't want to read a story arc, I freaking love this book. Firstly, I love Erik Larsen and his art, and his Spider-Man is kind of my Spider-Man. Sorry, Todd McFarlane, I like Larsen more, but I also grew up with Savage Dragon. So this book, for those that don't know, the whole plot centers around Peter Parker finds out that MJ wants to have a kid, and he worries as a scientist, like, am I going to pass this on, whatever's infected my DNA, to my kid? So who does he ask? He asks a scientist who knows about mutants what this means. And he goes and calls up Hank McCoy, and he's like, hey, tell me like about this. What are the odds of me getting a mutant kid? What are the odds of me like ruining some kid's life by giving them some genetic disability that's going to completely ruin whatever experiences in this world they're going to have? They have this really deep scientific conversation, and then chaos breaks out in town, and they jump down and stop the bad guy, only to find out, spoiler, the bad guy is actually like a kid with a power they can't control. And they have to basically like calm the kid down, get him back to his family. And it all gets summed up by Hank basically saying, yeah, that's all the science stuff, but you're skipping over the heart human stuff, which is you're going to love your kid no matter what they are, however they come out. It's a beautiful look at parenthood, and it's all wrapped in this great conversation between a mutant character I love, the Hank McCoy that's like singing songs as he swings into battle, and oh my stars and garters, like all the Hank McCoy I loved. And then this great artwork by Erik Larsen. So if you haven't read it, if you've missed out on it, this was in the era of Spider-Man where I was getting every single issue. I was just obsessed with this run. And when Erik Larsen was coming on board, I got even more jonesed for it. So this is a great comic, and worth like $1. You can find this in a dollar bin.
Yeah,
worth it.
I love some of Larsen's Venom covers. Like he's the one who kind of like dialed Venom to another level.
That
right?
Hamlet cover when he's like holding the bones
that's
of Peter Parker.
That one in the eyeballs with Spider-Man. I love those two.
Yeah, that was my favorite iteration of Venom was the Erik Larsen one. Do you want me to keep going, or are we skipping around? How are we doing this?
Let's keep going. Let's just
All
keep
right.
rolling.
Yeah, keep it going.
I promised a a mutant like appearing in another book like that's important. Justin, I don't mean to spoil that Jean Grey comes back, but she does. Yeah. Avengers 263
Nice.
and then Fantastic Four 286, the return of Jean Grey. So you have the Avengers finding this cocoon in the bottom of the ocean. What the heck is this? Let's call the scientist Reed Richards. He opens the cocoon. Hey, hot redhead inside. You should start a new comic book called X Factor.
I was just gonna ask. I said this is because I actually read the first issue of X Factor randomly like a couple years ago.
So these are the prologue to X Factor, which they all had this like X Factor logo in the corner. So those issues like are setting up the first issue of X Factor. Nice. But it's how does Jean come back to life? Because now Scott's married. He's got this other redhead on the side, and like what's going on? How's that going to work? But I remember grabbing all these books as a kid. I was way into. My older brother loved X Factor. I loved X-Men, but we were reading all of it. And when they were launching it, we were like, how are they bringing her back? What's going on? And I just loved like the fact that you get Avengers and Fantastic Four caught up in mutant drama. I love all of that. Give me more of that.
Yeah. I just finished Inferno, so I just got through that whole mess.
For sure. Absolutely. So, those are the kind of books that I collected a ton of when I was a kid because I was reading these things off the rack, and I'd give my brother my X-Men books, and he'd give me the X Factor books, and we'd share and read as much as we could. What is going on, Young Just? What's going on? It's been like 40 years. I think it's okay, John. Spoil away.
Yeah,
Young Just. This isn't the Council of X. This is X-Men Collector Chat, but. Perfect little segue to say you guys are now in the Council of X because you've been on an X-Men Collector Chat. So your membership has been stamped through.
Approved. Yeah, we accept your application
anytime.
I had to hype that up.
We'll add you to our message thread, and then you guys can come on anytime. You know?
I'm gonna quote Roy Kent from Ted Lasso and say this place is ruined now. Just be ready. You don't want to be a member of a club that has you in it, right? That's always a bad thing. If you want something a little more not off the beaten path, I would say a little more. I don't know. For me, this is the chocolate and peanut butter of my 80s reading. This is. X-Men and Teen Titans, new Teen Titans. If you haven't seen this book before, great wraparound cover because you get Darkseid on the back. I loved these books. Wolfman and Perez plus Cockrum and Claremont. This was my jam. This was a Walt Simonson artwork, but his wife before they got married, Louise Jones and Louise Simonson, was the editor of Marvel and all the like X books for so long. And she's the editor on this. You get Terry Austin doing finishing work. You get so many great Marvel talents doing artwork in this book. I love this book. So I could read this over and over again. Artwork is phenomenal. The X-Men versus Darkseid, like, come on. This is so perfect for me.
Chris Claremont just posted about this book in the last day or two. Something about like an anniversary edition or something's coming out with.
I'm sure it's gonna be. I mean, what year was this? I got my glasses and I still can't find it. Oof, goodness. But I know what they're doing. They're releasing an omnibus of all the Marvel DC crossover books, the amalgam books.
Yeah.
So there's an Omni coming that includes this, but obviously all the like Spider-Man versus Superman, Batman versus whatever, all those crossover DC Marvel books, and then Amalgam, which was this funky like series of like we're going to combine Batman with Wolverine. Yeah, exactly. So like all of that is getting an epic omnibus here coming soon. But this book, I love.
Those DC and Marvel fans.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. It's nice to have you here. Appreciate you coming through.
All right. I got two more then. I gotta have some Jim Lee in here. And I jokingly said in our chat that like it's gonna be hard for me not to just pick Wolverine appearing in everybody else's books because that's very easy. He's kind of like Spider-Man, he's everywhere. But if I'm gonna go Jim Lee not doing X-Men, I'm gonna do Jim Lee doing Punisher War Journal.
Oh yeah.
And these 2 issues so phenomenal.
That one's so cool. I love the color on that.
Good. Yeah. And I loved this run of War Journal. I had all these issues with Frank Castle doing crazy stuff like riding a jet ski. And it's just like War Journal is my favorite era of Punisher. And then you throw Wolverine in there, 2 guys that just are both just stone cold killers. And it's just great. Yeah, so the artwork's good. Frank Castle's awesome. And I think I want to say this was when Jim Lee was writing it as well. I can't remember who the writer was, but I thought it was Jim at this time. So if I'm gonna go Jim Lee outside of X-Men, it's Punisher. Yes, there it is, Eric. He knows.
Yeah.
Yes, my childhood too, sir. My childhood too. Every other run of Punisher is always like second to War Journal for me. I just love War Journal. And then lastly, Justin knows I gotta include my girl. And if you're gonna get Storm outside of X-Men, you want to get Storm in Black Panther.
Ooh, nice.
And you can go with the Hudlin run, which is this run where you get some amazing covers, and of course the big wedding of T'Challa and Aurora. But I also will throw in during that same era, a little further down the road, is my favorite miniseries, which is called See Wakanda and Die. And this is a tie-in to the Secret Invasion event. It's 3 issues long, which you're like, what's so big? Jason Aaron came on board for these 3 issues, and he wrote 3 issues of Black Panther, and it's all about how the Skrulls are going to try to invade Wakanda. They're going to try to take over for T'Challa and Aurora and conquer the country. But you don't screw around in T'Challa's backyard. You don't do that. You're going to go against the Empire of Wakanda. So my favorite part about it is while the rest of Earth is getting crushed under the boot of the Skrulls, you've got Wakanda flipping the script and just going complete like hellfire down on these Skrulls and just wiping them out. And just, it's like the only country that survives the zombie invasion, basically. So 3 issues. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend. It's 39, 40, and 41 of Black Panther. And it's the Secret Invasion tie-in. It's called See Wakanda and Die, because they just basically kick some booty on these guys. Amazing. And again, it's all this like he's holding up a Skrull's skull here.
I was gonna say I saw the head there. Yeah.
So awesome.
It's wild.
Might have to pull that up on Marvel Unlimited.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it's just 3 issues worth.
Jason Aaron's great.
Jason Aaron is so perfect for this, and I got it because I saw this cover and I was like,
a great cover. I've never seen that one.
So creepy. T'Challa and Storm.
He's going to be at Terrificon, Justin. I'm pretty sure
he's a boss.
Man. Who's that? Jason Aaron.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. I think I did see that.
Black Panther, Storm, always really great stuff. There you go.
Man, I'm gonna have to bring some stuff for him.
X-Men, not in X books.
I did the same thing.
You did good. I did not do that. I went more with just so you also mentioned like, books that just inspired you to, coming on here. So I took it in a couple different ways in terms of inspiration. By the way, I have like a stack of books, but I'm narrowing it down to the 5, but like, I was like, oh, this is good. I was like going through all
if we roll through everybody and we got some time, we'll come back to you and take a look.
Cool. So, I mean, I feel like I have to start with, my dad's stuff. So I had mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, for those who don't know, my dad is Greg LaRocque, most notable for his work on Flash in the 90s. He did some Spider-Man in the late 80s, Spectacular Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, like the first issue, the first like 6 or 7 issues. He was the penciling inside of a lot of those issues. And then he did like Marvel Team Up 141, the famous cover for that. He didn't do the cover, but he did the interior pencilings. So from a X-Men standpoint, as I mentioned earlier, he didn't, I feel like he didn't get enough opportunity to do the X-Men stuff. Here are 2 books that I have that he had done X-Men on, neither of which I've actually read yet. I flipped through them a bunch of times just to see his artwork. But in terms of like where I'm at in reading, I haven't gotten there yet. But this is a Micronauts issue number 37. And it's a really cool, it got a zoom in there of Nightcrawler, since I know
love this.
Being as
I love
small.
that.
Yeah, so it was actually him and Al Milgrom who did this cover together. They actually did a lot together. I had the opportunity to sit in the middle of the 2 of them during HersheyCon last year, where they shared tables essentially.
And
I just picked their brains and had them interact and ask, talk about the, just the past of some of their work they did together and stuff. So Al Milgrom, very much special too, to just knowing how much work he did with my dad. So this was one of them, and then this was the final issue of Marvel Team Up.
Yes,
he had done a decent amount of I think he did at least maybe the last 8 out of 10 last Marvel team ups, and 141 was one of them. But this is his. I think he did cover. Yeah, both. I think this is his cover as well.
Windsor Smith didn't help him with that. Looks like a little Windsor Smith too.
Oh yeah, maybe this one. I don't know if this is. It doesn't actually have his note here or his any signature that I see, but I know he did the interior for sure.
Well, and I there's a great issue of is it Team Up when it's like your dad. Oops, sorry, am I still here?
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
There.
Where your dad did the Ghost Rider story in a book that had a backup story that gave us the issues of
for Rogue,
Marvel that got canceled, that didn't get published, that were drawn and showed Rogue's origin, the original issue that was supposed to be her first appearance, but got canceled and then made it the annual 10.
I don't even
dad contributed to that.
Yeah, I don't even have that issue. He has it. Michael Sove Collector was the one that first introduced me to that. What did he say? When just talks about his father, I will not bust his out. Thanks. Yeah, Michael Sove Collector has told me about that, and I've seen it. That's actually a book I'm hunting right now. I'd like to.
It's a great book
at some point. Yeah, beautiful. Cover and everything else too. So, so these are shout out to Dad. He's continuing to do commissions and stuff like that. He still does work. He actually did a Nonstop Spidey variant 2 years ago when Nonstop Spidey came out, their first issue 1 or whatever. And that was my first and really only time where I had the opportunity to buy a book off the shelf that was my dad's live, that was just coming out at that time. So that was a really cool experience too. Not X-Men related, but
that'd be really cool.
Yeah, he actually gave me the original art afterwards as a gift.
Oh, excellent.
That was cool. So the other one I want to show was and Ryan, you had shown this last episode. I might have 1 or 2 that you guys or someone should shown at one point, but this is X-Men number 98, and this one always stands out to me, not just because yes, a beautiful Sentinel cover, iconic early Claremont and Cockrum issue as a whole, but also this one it stands out to me as the first splash page when you open this book up is one of the reasons why I love X-Men so much. And it takes place where they're in Central Park in New York City before the Sentinels actually attack. And you just get them sipping on coffee, dressed up in the cold weather, being all human, just casual and just living life. And that's what I love about the stories of X-Men, and what Claremont has always done is to incorporate not just capes and villains. Like there's so much more to these characters, and this is just a reminder of that. When you open that, there you go. I wasn't going to take mine out of the thing there, but that. Yes, I love that scene. And the other reason is because it's Christmas time, and Christmas happens to be my favorite time of the year. So that's always stood out to me was with that panel there. So 98 holds a special, to my heart of just, having this very inspirational in that regard.
One of my absolute favorite Cockrum covers. I just love that.
The Sentinels, everything that you get part of that.
Oh, good.
100%. And it's a great read. You even get you actually get Chris and or is that the one where you get both Chris and Dave in like featured in? I think that was where they're.
I think it's Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Oh, is it that? Okay, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But I knew it was like two characters that were like in it.
Real creators,
yeah.
And is it Amanda Sefton in that one too? Like it's the date night one, right? It's Amanda.
No. I don't think Sefton's in that yet.
She's not their first date. Okay.
No.
Dan's gonna check.
Yeah, double check. I don't think Sefton's in that yet. Because this is early, like 98.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's super early.
So another one I want to share. This is like a little 3-pack. I'll just go through them quickly, but this is inspirational to me in that one of the reasons I love the fact that I've been part of this amazing community. And I know for everybody, Instagram community, comic book community is different, looks different, experiences might be different for everybody. But for me, I had met this guy. His name is David. He used to go by the name Omni Dude. He has since changed his name and kind of got out of the comic book community game. I know he actually lives like 20 minutes from me. I had found out later. I met him through Instagram. But this is probably like a year and a half of me being into comics. And he straight up, his name Omni Dude. He collected nothing but omnibus. He even had like custom omnibus that were not like really made. He like sent books that would get turned into omnibus. It was really cool. And I went to his house. He showed me his whole collection. It was really cool. He invited me over because he was trying to get rid of his single issues, his floppies. He had Marvel, he had DC, and he hit me up. He's like, "Do you want my books?" And I was like, "Oh man, that's so nice, but like, I just, money's tight right now. I don't know if I can really buy." And he's like, "No, man. I mean, like, come on over and just take these." And he shows me the stack. He's like, "Just take these books." And I'm like, "What do you mean take them?" Like, I don't, I'm like re-asking the question. Like, he's like, "No, like you can have them." Like I've tried to sell them. I'm not really a seller. I'm tired of trying. And I don't, I don't trust people and all this other stuff. He's like, I'd rather just, they're taking up space in my house. I want to just have omnibus. And you seem like a genuine dude that will love these books and not just flip them. So, can you take these? And I was like, "Oh, okay." So he gave me a whole box. I'm just going to show 3. And I actually at the time I only took the Marvel stuff. I actually turned down all the DC stuff because I wasn't at the time reading DC. And I kind of regret it now because there was some crazy like 9.8s and stuff that he had of like some modern books. Batman. Anyways, so this he gave me, and I'll kind of go backwards here, but X-Men 39 was in this batch of books, and it was like a mix of like modern variants that I know were like $40+ at least. There was a couple first appearances in Walking Dead stuff that he gave me. But this one here, X-Men 39, this is like the first time we see their new suits that he gave me. And then even earlier, X-Men 16 was included in that, which my mind was just blown with this cover and knowing that this was part of this collection that he gave me. Again, it was like half a short box. It wasn't even like more than that. But I know that this is just
second Master Mold, third Sentinels. Okay,
so that's what I knew. It was like right around there because then the last one,
three issue Sentinel. That's the first one, first Sentinels.
Okay, so he didn't have 15, and but this was the other one that he gave me, and I was like just completely blown away by the fact that he just handed me these books.
That is generous and a score. Wow,
dude. And I will say, like, just from my connections with people of like the friendships that I've made. And again, through the 5 years, and I know everyone else has kind of had, like, John, I've seen some incredible books that people have gifted you and you vice versa, like over the year. It's awesome. Like, I just love to see that in our community and people, especially if you're just getting into comics or you're back into it and you haven't been into it for a while, like the friendships that are made, the welcoming that people like take, people in and hook people up is just incredible. So I keep these books because it reminds me of that. And it just keeps me, what he said, hey, are you timing me, Tony?
All good.
So with all that said, I'm going to start the bidding at $5. No, I'm just joking.
typing
if you ever
claim
watch this,
right now.
yeah, David, if you ever watch this, dude, I hope you're doing well, and I thank you for that. And then
No, purple robots for the win, man. Purple robots always. I just love that they created these battle droids to kill mutants, and they went, you know what, pink and purple. We're gonna go. We're gonna get bold with this,
and they stuck to it. You know,
works for Galactus. It'll work for these guys too.
right?
And then the other book, well, the other one, I'll just show the set because we were all talking about it before I got on here. But so these books here I had never read up until John and I had broke this down with a couple of our guests last year during season 3. And like, I can't believe it took me this long to even, I mean, you know, for the time that I've read comics, get into this. But this is an automatic like annual read for me now. Like, this is something I think anybody, I mean, especially if you're fans of, you know, whether it's Frank Miller or Wolverine or Mutants or whatever, like the storytelling in this, the artwork in this, everything that it means for Wolverine and the other characters that are part of this. We meet Yukio, you know, his love story and everything else in between. Absolutely incredible. And this just reminds me that, like, through all the stuff that we've been reading, like, again, I had my heart set on like all the Byrne stuff, and I thought that was like just the best it ever got. But it's not true. And like everything we continue to read just blows me away. And I'm like excited to read each and every new issue, because you watch some of our recent episodes, like John, not just me, but John, other people in the chat too, giving some of these books, you know, with JR doing the artwork, or Paul Windsor-Smith doing the artwork, some, you know, 9.0s grades or 9.6 grade, like things that we just love, you know, on our grading scale, how we like them. We're giving some high grades to some of these books because they're just so damn good. So I went out immediately, John, after we read this, and I talked to Zap, and I got all 4 of them. This was back in May, and as I just posted a video before we went live, literally this one here I had flipped through because I realized 3 of them weren't in. I like the Mylar, like everything. I realized some of them were not Mylar, so I had to put them back in Mylar, and I realized that this was a double cover, as we were talking about before we went on. But it was literally like minutes before we went live, so I was like, oh my god, like it's just an extra, you know, little surprise for me. So anyways, like,
don't rip that shirt with all the flexing you're doing.
I just it's getting a little hot in here. But
are these books heavy, or is it
so this next one,
comic shop's that way, right? It's over
there. So yeah, just epic reads, and yeah,
so good.
I mean, for anyone who hasn't read them, highly recommend.
Have you gotten Justin? Have you gotten any kind of a trade or hardcover just of that story yet?
No.
Okay,
not yet.
I know. Don't speak. Don't speak. Don't speak.
Like, I'll add to cart right now. I can add to cart. Amazon.
When the problem comes along, you must sip it.
Yeah.
All right.
I have 20 more, but go on.
Justin, I'm the same way. I could. Ryan, do you tell him?
Dan does the same thing. He's like, "Oh, I got 700 books here." But I love it.
Or I have.
Admittedly, I showed like 8 or 10 Black Panther comics in my 5 comics I'm supposed to share.
Well, that's why I was like, "Ooh, I'll just
no rules." There's no rules on X-Men Collector Chat.
I either have a bunch or I go off on one thing for a super long time. But
love it. I'm looking forward
to it. So I was just kind of, I didn't do my homework, guys. So like while you were talking, doing your presentation, I scribbled together my presentation.
There you go.
And so also to go along with the gifts, I got these international X-Men comics from Wolverine Around the World. He's on Instagram. And he sent me these at the end of the year, I think in 2022. So it's the beginning of 2021. Or sorry, 2023.
One of my all-time favorite
and yeah, just like French and German, I believe.
I love it.
Copies, so pretty cool stuff.
Cool.
That's
damn it. Now I need to collect these. Now
that Colossus cover. There it is.
Love
So that came up. The OA for that came up for auction just recently, and I was like,
"Can I sell my house?"
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's
thinking of all the ways.
But it's just like, why did this once in a lifetime opportunity have to come now?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, these. I think that it's it's on the inside it's X-Men story, but it's also like a split with another, like a Thor or something like that story
They
inside.
did that a lot with those international
Or Rambo ad on the back.
Nice.
Figure. So and then sticking with the international theme, I have some Pence variants. Pence variants always intrigued me because the person who dives deep into the rarity side of, I mean, none of these are rare, right? But they are more scarce than the other type or whatever you would call it. But that being said, they just haven't ever sold for as much, right? So you can always get a discount on Pence copies
for sure,
right? And who knows, maybe someday, like the way that we didn't care about newsstands or Mark Jewelers, who knows, maybe, I wouldn't gander to guess that they would, but there's a case for that. Like
some of them, I know that like the first issue of Star Wars, that Pence edition is like stupid money, like that.
Oh, really?
So some of those like epic keys, and then you add this rarity on top of that, like you're saying, it can make like, so I'm that right there. Firstly, first AK-47,
Moira McTaggart with
and I have a Pence as well. I think it's that was my first one. Was a Pence version. Was that my first one? So
right on. Yeah, I think like to fill in the gap when I started collecting, like I would sometimes pick up like a one of them in a Pence until I eventually
cover.
For me, I for some reason felt like I couldn't, like I wasn't satisfied, I guess, with like one Pence one in the place, so I had to get the
whole run now in Pence.
But I'll still grab these guys like if they're around, and it's just fun.
If I have, I'll suffer.
I like to have multiple copies of the comics I love, so because really I just stay in one lane. I'm a very like if I play as a character in a video game, like a fighting game, like I'm only one character, right? And I only stick to that one. And when it comes to comics, it branches out so far that I feel like I could go in any direction, and it just gets overwhelming for me.
129.
This is the book that John can't say no to.
Yes,
same. I mean, right? Yeah. If it's,
I had 4 copies of that at once.
I was going to share one. I was like, nah, that one away.
First book I ever had in a slab. That was the book.
Say what?
That was the first book I ever had in a slab, like that I bought in a slab.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good one, yeah.
Oh, nah.
You want more?
I'll flex another day.
Okay.
Another day. Yeah.
All right, so I liked what John thought up of as a theme, X-Men characters outside of X-Men. But then I was like, what do I even have? I had to do a little digging, and so I got a few little deep cuts, or just kind of random ones. But this is Hulk 454. Hulk fighting Wolverine.
That's sick.
In the Savage Land.
Nice.
And this is one of the few books that it's actually I picked up off the rack in the 90s as a kid.
Nice.
And read this, and I had a little stint of collecting comics, and this one was a really cool one.
I feel like you could do an entire set of some amazing Hulk and Wolverine covers, not in X-Men, and you just would slay,
And I think it's pretty cool just seeing books that you just never like. When did you see this? I mean, you might have seen, but like,
and books that you can hunt down and reasonably snag too.
This is a dollar bin book, but pretty cool cover.
That's right. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Cool side cover.
I didn't. Oh, different.
Well, it's not really a side cover, but I mean, it works
the other way.
Wait, who's the artist?
Work. Yeah, that's unique. I hadn't seen that artist doesn't look familiar to me, or that style anyway.
Adam Kubert.
Oh, okay. There you go. Kubert's always good stuff.
All right, and then this one. Another one I bought off the rack April 97, Captain America 6.
Yes.
And this is Rob Liefeld. And this is not, this looks like the anatomically incorrect pose. And it is, but it's not quite the one that gets.
He definitely pulled it back. He put the bro on across the front. Yeah.
But honestly, I there's a bunch of Rob Liefeld books that I bought during this era that I honestly, they're pretty cool. Like the artwork is pretty cool. I think Rob Liefeld gets a bad rap sometimes. Sometimes the anatomy stuff is true, but there's
I was obsessed with his New Mutants and X-Force. I was like, it was better than X-Men for me at the time. I was like, yeah, Jim Lee X-Men's okay, but I'm gonna read this cool Rob Liefeld stuff.
As far as 90s stuff goes, like there's some pretty cool stuff in here.
For sure.
There's this 2-page spread at the back teasing the Avengers coming back together with Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America in this book, and it is. I think I had that full Liefeld Avengers run, and I looked back at those covers. I was like, what was I thinking? The like Thor with the hammer and his like he's got 27 biceps. It's like holy cow, it's crazy. And this of course is a Captain America and Cable team up, which is awesome. And in it it's not only Baron Zemo, but it's also MODOK in this book. It's kind of wild.
Sounds wild.
Through it quickly, but yeah.
Is that like some sort of hologram face in there?
It looked like it was like iridescent or
Baron Zemo.
Was that Lynn Tick?
What's going on with that?
No, it's just it's flat. Maybe it's
that's cool.
So camera doing something, or the Mylar's doing something.
I mean,
that Mylar magic.
Liefeld is a genius and somehow drew that on flat without a hologram.
It's got this like all the work at that time, that Heroes Reborn stuff, like it has like the way they colored it, it feels a little bit more digital. Just though everything feels a little bit more 3D. It's just got that
where they can like fade, like kind of blur out the background.
Not this late 90s like vibe to it. It's just like really late 90s stuff. This is not late 90s. This is Marvel Team Up #1.
Nice.
X-Men feat
and
Spider-Man.
Oh, that's the king size annual. Okay. Yeah.
And I absolutely love this book.
So, yeah.
What year does it have a year on the front there? Curious what year that is.
I think it's 79.
1976.
76 or earlier. Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
I think that's 1976.
That's something I can get behind. The Marvel team ups, like they feel like a one shot where it's just like, hey, these are the characters you love. They're you get them together in one issue. They solve the problem. They work together. Like I always loved a Marvel team up. That's an issue that I gotta pick up.
Yeah, and they're not like the most sought after books, but like really cool. I feel like it's a really cool run to collect.
I feel like somebody's a comic. Yeah, someone's a hardcore comic fan when that's what they're collecting, because they don't have all the keys. They're not just about the key. They're there for the fun of the stories and the characters.
It's fun,
Team ups, and then there's the super villain team ups.
As
well, which are pretty cool as well.
What are those? There's a Marvel super villain team up.
Super villain team up. So you'll get like Red Skull and Doctor Doom,
I don't know if I don't think I've seen that.
Doctor Doom, like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Eric. Yes,
90s, right?
Marvel 2-in-1 is another great series like that.
Oh yeah,
it has a similar vibe.
2-in-1, yeah, that's the other one.
Good ones, yeah.
Great point.
Good stories
with the Thing, right?
Yep, a lot of them had the Thing.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Spectacular Spider-Man #116, a little Sabretooth.
Nice.
Sabretooth versus Symbiote.
I definitely have more villains crossovers than hero crossovers, but this one was pretty cool. And it's old school Sabretooth as well, when he had it
for sure.
All orange.
So good.
Then I got Amazing Spider-Man 162. And this is actually key. This is the first Jigsaw.
Yep.
But
it's a good book to have.
I think this is like the perfect team up of of two heroes.
Oh, 100%. You can't stop those two.
Both acrobatic.
Yes.
Swing, like, you know, like just really like complementary powers.
You can never like catch them, you know, like like they'd always escape you.
They're wiry guys, like it's like
chasing
after like chickens or like, you know, something
right.
Running around
herding cats. Yeah,
that would be really frustrating.
And just cool, and Punisher's in it too. So
great pick.
Really cool book.
So
like
fun.
If we were in like a game of tag and you had team members as like tag, like those are the two guys that you want on your team as tag.
I did a video picking my Marvel fantasy football team back at the start of fantasy season, and I'm trying to remember if I had both of them as wide receivers.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
But I mean, come on, those guys would be excellent picks for that.
I mean, ultimately, couldn't Nightcrawler be the quarterback and the wide receiver?
Yeah, he could throw to himself.
I mean, it's kind of a funny exercise because like there's so many characters that could play across the board, right? But I was trying to like think of like
Reed Richards is like.
Oh no, you know what it was? I had Quicksilver, and then I think I had Nightcrawler. That was those. But
nice.
Spider-Man would have been an excellent.
That's cool. Sure. That's a fun idea.
Yeah.
So this is Avengers 47.
Ooh, I've never seen that one before.
And it's got Magneto, and it's Magneto's kind of origin story with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
That's great.
There's something. This is also first Dane Whitman, not as Black Knight, but just Dane Whitman.
Dane.
Yeah.
Man, Magneto has been in so many other comics, and he has like how many origin stories does that guy have too?
Because sometimes he's Eric, and sometimes he's like he's got Max. He's got all these different first names.
But I guess that's one of the reasons why he's such a like, you know, a crossoverable character between good and bad. Like we understand he's like one of the villains, like a case study where it's like you can understand his plight based on all of his origin, like how he became to be who he is. You know, at first he's just the bad guy. You tell all these origin, you know, experiences, and you can really get to know the guy.
Yep.
He's so complex, right? That's why the question of you know, is he a villain or is he not a villain is so
it's just based on what he feels he has to do, right?
I still want to get that Thor book where he's like controlling Mjolnir with his ability.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
I think that might be his first crossover book.
It's a great comic.
Yeah, and he's kind of more purple in that one than red.
For sure.
He has been retconned a million times.
It's true.
Yep.
Yeah, classic Silver Age boxes and floating people and everything. Well, those were some great books. I mean, Justin, if you want to show a couple more, or Dan, you know.
No,
Justin's like, I've gotten plenty.
No, we'll be here all night.
Save those, you know. I hope you guys will come on Council of X as much as you can.
We'll get you the invites.
Yeah, we'll get
the
you
secret
on
passcode. We'll text that to you.
And you know, like the reason we started that show is just because we've had so much fun doing this show, and guys were saying like, "Oh, I wish we could just like talk X-Men,
hang out,
hang out."
Whatever.
All right, so we need an X-Men club. So
Right.
that's where that came out of. So
It's great.
I thank you guys for coming on. Before we wrap, do you guys
I got a question for the group, for the gang too?
Yeah, Dan, please take it away.
But when we can finish with yours, Ryan. But I was thinking like, I just kind of am curious what your guys is, if you guys have something that you're looking forward to for the future of this year, whether that's like a goal that you have set, or, you know, certain comics that you're going after, or maybe just like an experience or a video that you're creating. What's like on your mind for something you're targeting, whatever that may be. Justin and John, go ahead. How about we'll say John first? You've always had your finger on it. So.
I mean, I usually would say I try to get to one big con every year, so that's always a big to do to make that big convention. So I'm WonderCon is in my backyard in Anaheim at the Anaheim Convention Center right next to Disneyland. So when I'm not flying to a con, which is super rare, I try to make that one my go-to because I don't have to deal with San Diego Comic-Con craziness, and I can kind of enjoy the con. And if friends are coming to go to Disneyland, I can catch up with them for a bit and in the convention center. But also I've got one run that I've been working on thanks to the help of the comic community. I'm going to finish my Avengers 1 through 20, I think, this year. I need 3, and then I need a couple in the teens, and I'll be done. None of them are like big keys, so it should be manageable. It's just a matter of getting that budget aside and then finding the right copy at the right price, and then biting the bullet. So that'll be 1 through 20. And I haven't announced it yet, but my good friend Ryan Magic Lasso and I talk a ton, and he's been doing the same thing for his Justice League run, and he's nearly completed the first volume of Justice League, which is crazy. And he wants to do Avengers versus Justice League, where we go issue by issue. I'll do issue 1 of Avengers, and he'll do issue 1 of Justice League. And we'll just talk about it and share it with each other. And then the next week, or whatever, we would do issue 2 and issue 3, and on and on. So if I finish my Avengers and he finishes his Justice League, we'll do Avengers versus Justice League.
Very cool. Did you mention what 3 issues there are that you're
issue number 3 is like the only single digit one I'm missing. And then there's 2 in the teens. I think it's, I'm sorry that I don't, I think it's 15 and 18, I think are the 2. None of them are keys.
Cool. Gotcha. Sweet. Yeah. Well, awesome.
I'm not begging for AOKs, Tony. Get the heck out of my chat here, man. Get out of here.
And Young Just, yes, we talked a little bit about the cartoon. It's
it's gonna have to rewind a little bit, and we
Ryan, I think it's gonna look exactly the same. Ryan is worried it's not.
I'm worried about voice work. That's
the cliff notes right there, Dan. The cliff notes.
Right. We got Comics with Bueller in the chat. One of my best buds.
Killer. Love that recent video that he had posted about his story about coming into comics and YouTube, and that's inspirational and really proud of him too. Like to hear him put himself out there like that. It's really cool. I love
easily the best video I saw in the last week. Yeah, such a great. I think he called it how YouTube saved my life. Really great.
Yeah,
really the man.
Dig it.
Really the man.
Yep. Justin, what are you going after, buddy?
I mean, I feel like after going, like, I really did go through like a good portion of boxes like before the show, like and as I was going through, I was just like, wow, I forgot I had this, or like, oh, this run I was like half collecting and I didn't finish it, or but a lot of it, I feel, at least from an X-Men standpoint, I feel like I have all the books that I want. Like, yes, 180 is probably Hulk 180 is probably the one last book that I'll eventually buy at some point, but I'm not necessarily in any rush. Probably not a good time to buy right now since the whole hype with Wolverine anyways. But
did you say you're not getting 181? Interesting.
Well, I assumed you already had 181 when you said it like that.
No. I mean, second appearances are cool too, but I really want the first, time that you get to see a character in a comic book. You know what I mean?
That's what I was waiting for right there. Bam! I don't think Thor could have dropped a hammer better than that.
I always say, like, if a random friend who doesn't know comics comes over and I would show him, like, hey, here's the second time we see him versus here's the first time we see him. Like,
here's the first cover, right? Yeah. Here's the first time he's on a cover.
Yeah. There you go. No, I mean, obviously, I love to own both at some point, but 180, genuinely, I do want to own that at one point. But as far as other stuff goes, like, I've been hunting Miss Marvel for a little while now. John, I know you had completed that last year. I was in the middle, or I don't know if you did complete it, right? So I'm like 4 or 5 issues away from that.
Nice.
Spider-Woman, I was
which,
me and
for
Candace,
those that don't know, though, that's another Claremont run, the Ms. Marvel.
The Ms. Marvel. Yeah.
The original run of Carol Danvers as Ms. Marvel,
like
written by Chris Claremont.
Yeah. Spider-Woman, Candace and I, we started doing a buddy read with that towards the end of last year. Kind of fell off with reading more of that, but I was enjoying it, and I was trying to collect that run because it's not too big either. And then the team up stuff, I do have, like, I'm probably like 2/3 of the way with Marvel team up stuff. So if I could try to collect some of that stuff, that would be ideal as far as small books here and there goes. But otherwise, the Terrificon we talked about earlier. Like I, as far as highlights or things I'm looking forward to most, that's my number one show that I praise that show like every year for anybody to go to that thing. Like it's the best. It's got nightlife. It's got something for everybody. It's bring your kids. Anything like that. You could do all that stuff. The other thing I forgot to mention for that show is that my dad is going to be there. He's actually going to have a table for the first time this year. So that'll be different for me because every time I've gone, it's been I've just gone as a fan and my dad wasn't there. So, to have he'll have a table set up and everything there. I'll drop my stuff off so I don't have to carry everything around.
I got to get a copy of that Micronauts book and get him to sign it.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that he would like that. So yeah, looking forward to that. John, I know we talked about, I'm trying to get out your way. It's been a plan of mine for the past 2 years. I've been trying to get out towards the West Coast. Went to Chicago 2 years ago for C2E2. So trying to make that a thing though, to hang out with John and go to Disneyland. And
ultimately what it amounts to is I should just drive out to Vegas for the big Vegas con because I know Justin will be there no matter what.
You should. or meet me in October. I'll be there every October.
But yeah, that's all with you, Justin.
Yeah,
I love Vegas. I love Vegas.
Dan, it's a late Terrificon's a late night, man. Whether you gamble or not, like a lot of our friends, like there's all these bars you just walk around to in the casino, and then like my wife and I are out till like 3 a.m. like at the craps table and Pai Gow and blackjack, and some people don't play; they just stand there and watch us and hang out. Like it's just kind of like what it looks like.
There is so much to do there. I feel like, and I go to bed at 10. And. I mean,
I'm a night owl. I'm glad I'm a night owl.
I mean,
I'll be out 5 or 6 a.m.
Yeah. You're gonna have to change that up, Dan.
So I'm hanging with Dan, is what I'm getting out of this, and then Ryan, and so Dan and I can be early morning breakfast. We'll be breakfast buffet, and then get into the con.
For the record, Ryan, like we'll still be up at 9 a.m. to get online to get in. You're gonna have to.
That's the part I have to work on.
That's Red Bull,
I need my sleep. I need some sleep if I'm gonna. Otherwise, I'm gonna make some very dangerous choices on the floor.
Yeah,
so you gotta come, John. I want to see these choices.
It's gonna be sort of a Kramer sleeping schedule. Naps throughout the day.
There you go. You got to train for this stuff, Dan. You got a couple months before.
It's the number one goal. So that's the.
I just picture I picture a Rocky montage of Dan just like napping and then getting up, staying up later,
chugging a Red Bull, working out the fingers for the flipping to maximize the time.
Yep.
Just gotta stare at TVs like late into the night and just like condition.
Yeah, you got to build live streaming into this somewhere, right?
Yeah.
You got to do some shows and.
That's great.
But yeah, just to follow up there, like with you, Justin, and the goals, that's going to Terrificon. I mean, that's $1,000 pretty much it'll cost. So I've been selling and planning to sell. All I have is Wolverine and X-Men comics. So, I kind of feel
that
like
was a good time.
Now is as good a time as any, right? Do you guys ever feel like if you post something and it sells like within like that day or an hour, you're like, ooh, I priced it too low.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, well, hey, it's sold, right?
Yeah,
and that's what I wanted. So just,
true.
So anyway, so just selling and, but yes, I can attest that Wolverine comics are hot right now. It feels. And just sell all like the duplicates that I'm willing to get rid of. And
it's good.
And then just get all that. Oh, I'm going to be doing my first live sale, or like not online, but going to like a small show. It's called the Frankenstein Comic Swap here in Portland, Oregon. Nice. They do it like 3 times a year. So just a lot of like some local dealers and just collectors that buy a $50 table. And me and Qwerty Comics, who's also on YouTube, he's in Portland. We're going to share a table together. And so that'll be fun. Perfect. Little experience. I've never done that before.
Yeah.
And so just kind of like dipping my toes in those different little areas and having a little fun with that. And and then just make my way to get that eventually. And I'm in no hurry, but Hulk 180, 181, a better giant size X-Men copy. And then just high grade versions of upgrades of what I have. I think I'm like content with the books that I have for the most part. It's just, now I'm getting spoiled with like upgrades. I like I like, you know, really high grade stuff.
That's where I'm at. I feel like I have everything I want, but yeah, there's always room for upgrades, right? Always.
Yeah. So it could never end, you know, like,
yeah,
so
exactly.
It's fun to be in my little pocket of comfort and just experience this with you guys, live vicariously through you guys, you know, so that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about you, Ryan?
Oh, I mean, I'm chasing my X-Men 1 this year. I'm going to Terrificon. Can't wait for that. Other than that, my comic goals are just upgrade the X-Men run and just kind of look for some other books that I'm trying to get for Submariner and Warlock runs that I'm putting together. And that's, and then just keep the YouTube thing rolling and do more lives and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of the coming months, the year ahead.
So Ryan and I are going to meet each other for the first time at the Terrificon. We've known each other for a couple of years now. We were kind of like Ryan was like my first like IG buddy, as far as like being like, oh, this is a guy that like I normally will like comment with, like we'll comment on each other's stuff, and we're in the same kind of lane of collecting. And so that's how we met. And then he started his YouTube channel, so we've just been connecting like that. But I'm super stoked to see you there.
That's awesome.
And, have you guys
similar to you guys, right? Like
we've never met in person.
No, but
I mean,
similar in that
I watch him when he sleeps, but that's about as far as it's gone.
Yeah, obviously that, John.
I mean, that part is normal. That's normal.
Get your jollies.
Santa Claus. You see him when he's sleeping.
Yeah, just call me Santa.
Santa Claus is a mutant.
On me.
Marvel has revealed it. Santa Claus is a mutant. So
that's so great. Official. And then Ryan, I've been meaning to, I know, sorry, with me talking again, I know, but Ryan, are you I want to know about what grade you're looking for your X-Men 1. What kind of price? Well, if you feel comfortable talking about it, what price range is that in? I just want to smell what you're stepping in there, like as to.
As far as grade goes, I'm looking for anything from a 1 to a 4, 4.5. The biggest issue or concern is that it just displays well. I don't want it to look, ratty, roached, or missing chunks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal there, price as cheap as I can. We'll see. I'm under no delusions that I'm gonna get it for like $1,000. It's gonna be kind of
I get it though. Yeah, that makes sense. We'll
see.
Can you tell me, would you be willing to go restored, conserved, or raw?
Not if I can help it.
Got it.
Raw, raw only because I just fear of getting a raw and then like it's color touched or it's missing pages.
You need somebody reputable or like have.
I just want to know I'm getting what I'm getting.
Sure. My Avengers 1 is restored, but I'm super happy with how it presents, and knowing that it was like staples that needed repairing, and so they repaired the staples. Like it's still the original issue. I was happy with that.
Yeah,
it'd be like in a way like a conserved. I guess it would be technically restored because they were.
Yeah, it's restored. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Bueller, you're the hug in the middle between Justin and I. We've each touched Bueller.
Oh yeah. Oh, you met John too. Yeah. Bueller out in C2.
6 degrees of Bueller.
Yeah. I was gonna mention. I had to share this because we were talking as you're talking, Ryan, about the book that you want the X-Men 1. The only reason I had, because we talked about, I had an X-Men 1, and I recently sold it.
But here it goes again.
But the only reason that I even had it,
because I'm my day.
Well, yeah, because people think like, how do you have an X-Men 1 signed by Stan Lee? Like yada yada yada. Like you just pay this money or because I didn't collect like that. I didn't collect for a long time. So I did raffles a while ago. I don't know if you've seen them before on like Instagram.
Let's just be like up front. You are a gambler. You're the Gambit of the comic book community. You're just throwing cards out everywhere.
I paid $200 for my X-Men 1 signed by Stan Lee, and won
one of those things.
I won it. It literally was 5 days like 5 days before that, I won X-Men 12 at a 4.5. And I remember telling my wife, or fiance or girlfriend at the time, but telling my wife, I said, babe, I have this book. It's a $500 book. I won it for $50 on this, this Instagram raffle. She's like, whoa, that's amazing. And then literally 5 days later, I'm in another one and I win the X-Men 1. And I go, remember how I tell her, I'm like, you remember how I won that $500 book? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I just won a $5,000 book. It was rated at that point or whatever. It's, jumped since then, but it was insane. So that was, but otherwise, I feel you in terms of what you have to do to get that book. Obviously I got lucky and won it, but to really go out of your way to buy, I did that with Giant Size. My Giant Size X-Men is a higher grade and I had paid for it straight out because I wanted it, and I wanted a nice clean version of it, with the square binding. So I understand, you want to find that nice, at least presentable, it doesn't have to be high grade necessarily, but I feel you on just getting something that looks great. So all the luck to that, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I've only done one of those raffles one time. I didn't win, and I just there goes $200.
You're like, oh, I could have put that towards the book. Yeah.
It's just I just don't think I could ever do that again. I wonder though.
Just have to win. That's all.
I know. So I wonder if you calculate how many times, and then you win one. Go back. Okay.
The odds are always against you with raffles.
How many of these
raffles? Not if you're Justin.
Did I get?
Well, that's why I'm setting my alarm for 3 a.m. to play Pai Gow with him.
Yeah, you go, Dan.
I will actually say it this way, Dan. You play with Lady no good. You're even more likely to win.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I heard she won the jackpot, right? So,
yeah, she'll show you the way.
The raffles, though, that's.
Yeah, once I won those, I stopped. I was like, I know I'm just gonna give more money back if I just keep playing them.
I would have done the same thing. Yeah. All right, there's my luck.
Right. I'm not trying to push this. It's literally 5 day period where I win these 2 books. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna, So that you have to I know some people who continue to do that even after they've hit big books. Some people sell or flip them and just try to keep playing for more. And at that point, you're just gambling. So it's
really, it can be addictive. Yeah,
it can. Yeah. But if you can walk away, you're gold.
You got to know when to fold them.
Yeah, like you said, you got to win. It's as easy as
you got to win. That's all.
Manifesting your own destiny, right?
That's right.
All right, so I wanted to just give you guys an opportunity. If there's anything coming up on your channels, other Omni X-Men, of course, but if you got anything else you want to plug, now's the time.
Every Tuesday we're bouncing back and forth Omni X-Men. We just did a great episode on Justin's channel for 187, I believe.
187.
And then 188's on my channel coming up here. So we're in the thick of Ramita Jr. for all that goodness. So if you got your issues, you got your Omnis, it's a perfect chance to come and hang out. I just want to shout out my friend Jennifer. Comic Books Will Break Your Heart, going through cancer treatment, and that's what I try to use my time for when these things come up. If you search Keep Jen Reading on GoFundMe, you'll find her, and she's just trying to pay her medical bills, and she's a great member of this community, reads great books, and
she's amazing.
If you have a little money and you're like, let's support a community member with her medical bills, I'm probably going to start doing some kind of sales just to kind of get her to her goal. She's really close to her ultimate goal for her GoFundMe.
Even if you could just share the page, I understand people can't, their own money situations or whatever, but
it's Keep Jen Reading on GoFundMe and you'll find her.
I will put it into the description of this video.
Thanks, Brian.
After we're off air, so that if you're watching this on the replay, or want to come back and check it out, the link will be there.
Thank you, sir.
That's awesome.
And I'm looking forward to coming on Omni X-Men in April. Right. I don't have the date right in my head, but I have it in my calendar. So
I just keep spamming people every once in a while with the dates.
It might move around. The date might move. Yeah.
And I think we're doing an annual on that one, so it's going to be like a double size episode.
And if it's on my channel, which if you guys don't know, I talk a lot, it's going to be probably 2 hours. So be ready, Ryan.
At the minimum.
I mean, we're already over 2 hours here. So it happens. Well, I just want to once again thank you guys so much for coming on. It's been an awesome chat with you guys.
Yeah.
And
Likewise,
I'm
you
looking
guys.
forward to doing it more on the Council of X. Now that you guys are illustrious members of that organization, and I'm looking forward to coming on, like I said, your guys' show. And thank you everybody in the chat. Up North Comics, Side Quest Comics, Comics with Bueller,
Thanks, guys.
Mr. Aikens,
you
Old
guys
Wolf, T. Roy, Young Just, everybody who's been on. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, and hope you guys have a great weekend ahead and keep collecting.
Faux show.